You know that we now are on the road to WrestleMania. That's me in my WrestleMania car because the Hall of Fame is now in the books. But it wasn't just one Hall of Fame, it was two Hall of Fames, and WWE didn't push it together. They are two separate videos on the WWE Network. Or Peacock, if you're in America, I am very sorry. But given that it is Hall of Fame, we need to make sure we look the part, so bam! My mother would be so proud of me. Don't I look really smart? Yeah, interestingly, we are going to take the finger of power, and we will go to the Hall of Fame 2020 and the Hall of Fame 2021, and we'll give the good bits an up, and we'll give the bad bits a down. Although, small spoiler, it seems a little bit unfair to go, that speech was rubbish, and give it a down. But I still found some downs anyway. Let's up those downs. Jerry the King Lawler was the host of the 2020 Hall of Fame ceremony as ever, and as well as challenging Seth Rollins when it came to his suit game, because he too looked like he was on fire, he also at one point looked down the camera and said, "I'm not crying, you are." But rather than make it sound like the meme, he said it so seriously, it was like he actually thought it. Now, talking about the fact that we did have two Hall of Fame separated this year, this actually worked out well, because if you've been reading all the wrestling news sites, everyone has been saying WWE told the inductees, look, you can't go on for the 72 hours that you used to. We kind of need you to slip it into 3 to 5 minutes, or at least that's what the Bella Twins said. Additionally, however, it also meant that the inductees had been gotten rid of, so we just got a promo video, and then straight into the Hall of Famer. So this is the very, very good and the very, very bad, because it did swing along a lot more swiftly, so it gets an up. But also, I kind of think that WWE should have caught these in the edit and let people talk more than they were allowed to talk, because some of these speeches, they felt so damn rushed down. JBL, for example, came out first, and he was like, well, I'm a football player, and then I became a wrestler. When I knocked on the door, I said, hey, can I be a wrestler? He said, yes, sure, you can be a wrestler. Then I became JBL. Without JBL, Eddie Guerrero wouldn't have helped me. Now I'm the champion, thanks, goodbye. Anyway, going back to what actually did happen, Bradshaw was indeed the first member into the 2020 Hall of Fame, and Jerry Lawler was back with another weird line, because he was like, at the moment, everybody's asking who would win in a fight between Godzilla and King Kong, and as we all know, the answer is JBL. I'm sorry, Jerry the King Lawler, nobody once has said that other than you. JBL was fine though. He did mention the fact that without Eddie Guerrero, his JBL heel character would never have got over like it did, and of course mentioned Ron Simmons and his brother and his tag team partner, and that they drank a lot of booze. I mean, I think I probably could have written this one down before I even heard it, but I suppose in many ways, that's good as well. With that said, he couldn't help himself. While I understand that this was in character, at one point it seemed like JBL was going to apologise for all the rumours about him being a bully. And at the very last minute he went, I'm not going to apologise for anything, you bunch of snowflakes. That's a terrible move. That is just a terrible move, because as we know, these are certainly more than just murmurings. Just go and look what he did to the Blue Meanie years ago, or read Justin Roberts' books. Both of these guys were in for quite the hazing, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. You don't bully people, and if you do, you don't then laugh about it afterwards, because even if you think it's hilarious, the person that did get bullied is still going, well, this hurts, man. You got right inside myself. That's just how it works. This was stupid. There was no need for it, and it's getting it down. Between the inductions as well, we kept cutting away to modern day superstars who would say things like, man, this is the greatest night of my life, and I'm so happy to be here and see all these smiling faces. And we're not really going to talk about many of these, because pretty much everybody said the same thing. The British Bulldog then went into the Hall of Fame though, and you damn right. Now, I doubt anyone could argue this anyway, but as an Englishman and a young child in Britain watching WWF as it was at the time, Davey Boy Smith was essentially my hero, especially because he was able to crack the American market before social media or the world that we live in today. He was also inducted by his family, and my word, you would never have to guess who the British Bulldog's family is. They all look exactly like him, and now there's people whispering that maybe Harry Smith is going to return to the WWE, because of course he was there for a cup of coffee back in the day. They ran through his great opponents and how every time Harry steps in the ring he thinks of his dad, and all of this was very, very nice. It was all very heartwarming, it was all very satisfying, and like I say, it was damn well deserving. The British Bulldog will always be one of the best. Jushin Thunder Liger was next, and you literally can't argue this from a wrestling standpoint. If you're on the internet right now going, I don't think he should have been inducted into any Hall of Fame, you're an absolute buffoon. up. As he couldn't be there in person for obvious reasons, he zoomed in, the program, and just run in and go, oh, it's me, like Matt Riddle on his scooter, and basically his video package went longer than his speech, but that was fine. He just said, hey, this is great, I'm a brilliant wrestler, I'll see you down the road. And it was the same for William Shatner as well. He was talking from his house and saying how much fun he'd always have with wrestling and how he looked up to these guys as heroes. And the only thing we need to double down on is the fact that William Shatner is in his 90s and he doesn't look 90 at all. He's barely aged. If I get to 90, which is a long shot, let's be honest, I'm probably gonna look like death warmed up, and here's William Shatner looking like he's 62. Also, some people get really mad when the likes of Shatner do go into the Hall of Fame. Why do you care? Why can't you just go, oh well, that's the thing, and then go and find a real problem? The legacy class followed, and I always have a little bit of an issue with this, because some of the names that come out of the hat, I go, wait a minute, they had a huge influence on the industry. Shouldn't they be getting an old song and dance of their own? For 2020, we had Ray Stevens, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Gary Hart, Baron Michelle Leone, and Brickhouse Brown. And all you've got to do is hunt down Gary Hart's book, which understandably is very, very hard, and read it to go, wait a minute, this could be one of the best pro wrestling minds ever. Also, Stevens was like an all-timer when it came to his era, but I suppose it's still nice they get a little bit of a spotlight. Bella Twins went in next. Up. Another one that had people up in arms last year, I will refer you to what I said around about 45 seconds ago. And also, do you not think that they had some influence on all of this? For example, I know a bunch of people that didn't give two hoots about pro wrestling, but they love reality shows, so they started watching Total Divas and eventually thought, oh, I'll check out Raw and SmackDown. And admittedly, eventually WWE did run them away with their stupid stories and their stupid angles, but it still happened, and Brie and Nikki Bella are a huge part of that. They also busted their ass in the ring and did all the road traveling, so for goodness sake, let them have their due. And not only did they say that in 18 years, maybe their children will continue the Bella name within the wrestling business, but there's a lot of news stories out there that say that they are too about to make a big return. So maybe we'll use this induction as the catalyst for that. Titus O'Neil then got the Warrior Award. You are damn right. Up. It is absolutely ridiculous the amount of work he does outside of the WWE for the community and for children and for whoever else. And also, he has an incredibly emotional and incredibly inspiring story. Here's what you need to do today. As soon as you finish watching Ups and Downs, you're going to sit down, you're going to put on the WWE Network, or Peacock, sorry America, and you are going to watch Titus O'Neil and you are going to listen to every single damn word he says. We could all be a lot more like Mr. O'Neil, and then the world would be a better place. By the end of it, you will just want to run through walls while shouting, Titus O'Neil, because he may very well be the greatest man on the planet. And with that in mind, I would also like to see him featured more in a wrestling ring, because he's just good vibes, man. He's just good vibes. And I think we should all take a page out of his book. This all meant that the NWO were the headliners for 2020, because of course Dave Bautista has postponed his induction for later down the line, and the video package that aired before this just made you go, oh yeah, I forgot. The New World Order were absolutely incredible when it came to WCW, and the effect they had on the WWF makes all the sense in the world. In terms of the speech though, this must have been one of the most rushed, because of course there were 4 guys and they all wanted to get their stuff in. But it was a bit like there was another person off stage with a gun and they'd been told, if you go over 5 minutes, he's gonna shoot you, and he doesn't care. Sean Waltman as ever just came across like a true class act as he went out of his way to thank everyone, and Scott Hall did the same, and Kevin Nash had some nice stories. And then Hulk Hogan was here and he was like, oh guys, we should have one more run. I was like, Hulk, nobody wants to see you have another run in the wrestling business. It's problematic that you're even the WrestleMania 37 host. So there wasn't too much to any of the stories, although Big Kev did say that he always saw themselves as if they were Led Zeppelin. But when it does come down to what you achieved and what you did, the New World Order should be in most Hall of Fames, I would say. Even though eventually we ran it into the ground, because it had around about 97,000 members. I think I was a member at one point, and I was just watching it on TV. I then had to start a new video, First World Problems, to watch the 2021 Hall of Fame, and I think just to ensure you didn't get confused, Jerry the King Lawler was then gone, and in his place was Corey Graves and Caleb Braxton. It meant out came Rob Van Dam to be the first class inducted into the 2021 Hall of Fame, and I found this particularly funny, because he came out to some graphics that said one more run, and the internet at that stage melted down going, oh my gosh, dude's gonna come back for one more run. It's the same flipping graphic he used during his last WWE tenure, Doesn't mean he may not come back for one more run, but it wasn't a hit. The cool thing about the video package that played before all of this, however, was it didn't only know all of his achievements, but also reminded you not only was Rob Van Dam an incredible athlete, but some of the moves he came up with were actually unique and certainly did inspire a bunch of wrestlers who are flipping around now. He really opened up as well, talking about the death of his father and how going to meet and greets and hanging out with the fans actually made him feel better when he was going through personal problems. And if you go through every single one of these speeches, I think Rob Van Dam's would be near the top. I mean, he was brutally honest, he talked from the heart. I actually thought it was quite emotional. Before he's done, he also had to make a joke about weed for obvious reasons, so he did say there's no better high than when you're on the top rope about to hit the 5-star frog splash. And obviously, who knows more about highs than me? He then just brassed out a joint and went, smoking is great. That last bit didn't happen. Also, because I'm an idiot, when he did say who knows more about this than me, I went Snoop Dogg, because I don't deserve to be alive. Molly Holly followed all of this and proved that you can be a super duper nice person and still make it in wrestling. What a lovely human being. She also started with one hell of a line when she said only 2 people have had their head shaved at WrestleMania. One is the most influential person in all of sports entertainment. The other is Vince McMahon. Shots fired. When she was done though, she proceeded to use almost all of her time to name drop members of the WWE crew just to ensure that they got their due. I mean, who else does that? So that's just a good person. That is just a good person deep down, and another reason why these crazies going, they don't deserve to go in the Hall of Fame, just need to calm down and assess the situation. The Great Khali was next, and what could you have possibly expected? I mean, he didn't say much when he was on the roster properly, so here he zoomed in too from India and was like, yep, I'm really tall, I'm the Great Khali, and now I'm a Hall of Famer. And sure, did he have a Hall of Fame run? Probably not, but did this make him very proud? I would assume so, and I bet all his friends and family like, oh, Great Khali, you're the best. Also, he's a massive deal in India, so why the hell not? Who has it actually offended? Ozzy Osbourne then cracked me up because what a damn hero. You again had this massively long video package, and then he zoomed in too and he just went, well, I don't deserve this, but I do appreciate the fans. Thank you very much, Triple H. Thank you very much, Vince McMahon. And then he turned off his camera. I mean, I think this was the highlight of the whole thing, and he doesn't have to worry about any of it because he's flipping Ozzy Osbourne, and Ozzy Osbourne can basically do whatever the hell he wants. But what's very sad is that he is quite a lot younger than William Shatner, but he did not look in good health at all, and that scares me right down in my tum-tum. I hope he's doing all right. Ethel Johnson, Paul Boesch, Pez Whatley, Dick the Bruiser, and Buzz Sawyer then got inducted into the 2021 Legacy Wing. And as always, Google is your friend. We probably wouldn't have wrestling if it wasn't for guys like this. And then we had Eric Bischoff. Now there's this debate out there that goes, well, we shouldn't put Eric Bischoff into the Hall of Fame because he tanked WCW. And while that's true to a certain extent, I mean, there were many parameters about why that happened, he also turned World Championship Wrestling into a powerhouse. He launched the Monday Night Wars. He was a huge reason why we have wrestling in the guise that we do today. I have zero problems with him going into the Hall of Fame. His video focused on all of this as well, going all the way from WCW to when he was a performer in WWE. And I'm gonna guess because he is like a veteran behind the scenes and someone has said, Eric, don't go too long, he was very succinct. Although he did say, I've only got 3 minutes. Wait a minute, did I just say 3 minutes? And I'll tell you a little secret about me, Simon Miller. I love 3-minute warning. I think the only person on the planet that did. It was quite a nice speech though, and you could tell he was genuinely moved by this, and he finished by saying the best is yet to come. Maybe that is true. I don't know what his schedule or calendar is. Maybe he has some great plans. Rich Herring was then given the Warrior Award, and you're probably going, well, who the hell is Rich Herring? But that's the whole point. The Warrior Award was always meant to focus on those behind the scenes that basically turned WWE into the juggernaut it is today, but never get any kind of recognition. And this man, I think, said had been with the company for over 50 years and was even involved when they went from a regional company to an international company. So flub me, does he deserve it? Herring couldn't have been more grateful or more gracious either, and just came across like a super duper really nice chap. And I never have any problems with that. Which led us into one last entry who was headlining the 2021 Hall of Fame, and it was mother-flubbing Kane. up. I just love him. I just do. Charles Simon was absolutely obsessed with him because I truly believed he was an undead brother who had to wear this mask because he had flames on his face. And I even stayed up for that 1997 Bad Blood pay-per-view, even though my parents told me not to. I snuck downstairs because I was so desperate to see what was going to happen. And that basically started a, 25-year love affair with the big red machine. We didn't really focus on fake Diesel or Isaac Yankem for obvious reasons, although Glenn Jacobs did say that his mum was a big fan of the dentist because she always wanted a dentist in the family. And then he just went over his whole career, mask and without the mask, and every single thing just made me feel super nostalgic because once again, I just really like Kane. So this was a typical Hall of Fame speech, but he also made sure to mention The Undertaker and Paul Bearer and how they helped the Kane character. But he doubly made the point of saying, look, I'm just a guy and I'm standing here now being inducted into a Hall of Fame, so if I can do all of this and I can have this great career, you can do it too. Actually thought it was quite inspirational and quite motivational. I also got in my head, oh man, maybe I can be the second Kane or new Kane, as WWE would undoubtedly call it. Remember that when they get an old tag team like the Rockers? You're the new Rockers. Why can't I just call them the Rockers? Finish with him doing his classic pyro because WWE can't help themselves, but I'd be lying if I didn't get a massive kick out of it for all the things that I've just said. Kane deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and I was happy to see him take his place. Before we do end though, we do have to throw a last minute down in there because of course this was filmed at the Thunderdome and that meant that WWE was controlling all the audio and some of this was terrifying. Like sometimes a wrestler would say something funny and all of a sudden you'd hear ho 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 and the laughter was incredibly loud and cheers were coming from nowhere, and because they had filmed the Thunderdome screen's reactions, you could clearly see when a director had said, oh, can we all laugh, because a wrestler would say something moderately humorous and the people there would be like, ha 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 ha, like they were about to die. So that was like a real disconnect, which is not what you want with something as authentic as the Hall of Fame. That's why I'm giving it a down. Otherwise though, it was nice to have the Hoff back. I mean, it's 3 hours of your time, it will kind of breeze by. You can just ignore any of the speeches for people you don't really care about. I always like it, I always enjoy it. Obviously nicer when we can be there live, but as a treat on a Wednesday morning, it was fine by me. Now don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about the Hall of Fame. Like the video, share the video and subscribe. Make sure you head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles, watch more videos here on YouTube, and again hit that subscribe button and go find us and say hey on social media. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. I am now going to go away and prepare to become new Kane. I'm very excited about it and I'll see your faces throughout the week because WrestleMania is only just getting going.